All right. So, I want to talk about Black Myth Wukong. Phenomenal game. I kind of haven't really gotten to talk about it a lot, but it's one of my favorite games thus far. It was so unique. It dove into something that I've never heard of, like some of these Japanese lore aspects that I thought was really cool. I think that the gameplay was a lot of fun. I think it was challenging. I think it was challenging that like it was very challenging as in a lot of the bosses were very different. People will say there was a lot of reading. I did a lot of reading where people were like, "Well, the bosses' movesets are similar, blah 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 blah." But like that's really not true. I enjoyed a lot of the bosses, and people will tell you that the game was short. I believe it was. If you're running through the whole game just going straight forward, you'll probably spend maybe 10, 15 hours into it. Or no, I'll go 15, 20. That's assuming you have no issues with the bosses. You don't want anything else in the game. You don't want any sort of just. You don't want to go for certain skins or armors. You don't want to go and try to upgrade your gourd. You're not interested in any of the secret levels. What I thought was really unique in this game as well was all the secret levels in each level. So you'd do little tasks. You'd find people who would be like, well, I need this done. I need that done. You go, you maybe defeat an enemy, you bring back their item, you give that to them. They'll be like, oh, here's a scroll or something. And it's not always just a scroll. There's different items, different things that will open different worlds. And within those worlds, they have really neat level design. It was there was one that I really liked. It was called like the Purple Cloud or something like that. I don't want to jump too much into it because I don't want to end up spoiling anything, but the little secret levels were super fun and intricate. The bosses were a lot of fun in there as well. Some of them were very challenging. I'd say a lot of those secret level bosses were harder than most of the bosses within like the actual base game, like the levels that you're obligated to run through to beat the game. I'd say that overall, like the bosses were very difficult, and a lot of them took like a lot of thinking into like, okay, I'm going to level this aspect up, or I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to focus on this stance. And the the bow staff combat is really intricate as well. They have, I think it's three different stances. There's there's so many of the different like things as well that and moves that you can implement into your arsenal, I guess. We'll put it that way. Be like, "Oh, well, I like doing this smash stance, but I also like doing stance where I can climb up on my bow and then smash it down on enemies." I think that's a really cool thing. I think that that's interesting to kind of put in there as well because you can personalize how you play while also keeping it really limited with just using the bow like Wukong does. It's it is a very interesting game. I think a lot of the environment is very pretty as well. I think the story is masterfully done. There's some parts that I had to be like, okay, I'm gonna slow down and I'm gonna look into like some of the lore, which was like this takes place, if I'm not mistaken, after Journey to the West. I'm not the most privy with the lore still. I still want to look a bit more into it because I do want to do a second playthrough of the game. It clocked me in around, I just want to make sure. I have my Steam pulled up where it clocked me about 49 hours in. It took me 49 hours to beat the base game. I did the game in I went through and I made it to that last boss battle, and then I realized like, okay, I don't think I got everything in some of the other levels, so I spent another maybe 5-10 hours just like, okay, I want to upgrade my gourd, I want to go and upgrade different like the weapons, I want to get this armor set. And then I took probably about 2 hours, 3 hours on the final boss. The final boss is ridiculously difficult. I think it's a very interesting boss design. He is miles harder than any of the bosses in the game. There are going to be bosses if you play the game, and I feel like I've seen a lot of people get stuck on a bunch of different ones which I don't really see on, Soul games at least. Sometimes when I've played like Souls games with me and my friends, or I'll compare my playthrough to theirs, they'll get stuck on very similar bosses to me. Whereas in this game with Wukong, I've seen everyone get stuck on a basically all of the bosses. The different bosses are equally difficult. Some of them you'll run through and absolutely demolish. Some of them you're just like, what the hell am I doing wrong? And then you'll go and you'll look through your trees, you'll look through your items, you'll look through your armors, you look through your curios. I think that what's really cool as well is the curios system, where it's like little charms, and it's like, okay, well, this one gives me increased damage or I recover more health in water. Pretty cool because, like I'd say, a lot of the time, you're not in those environments all the time where it's like, oh, take less damage when you're poisoned. Like, you're not really going to be poisoned a lot, but there are going to be bosses where it's like, okay, I'm fighting this person in water, so it gives me this different, like, aspect where I'm able to, okay, I'm going to throw that on, and I might just beat this boss now by the skin on my teeth. I also think it's really, really interesting as well with how the bosses are set up. There are some bosses that you defeat that you'll get or some bosses in the game, right? You'll get stuck there. There's a few of them where you'll get items at ends of chapters. Some of them I did not find use for. I very well could not have looked hard enough, maybe. But there are also items like if there's a fan, for example. The fan helps you blow this certain boss out of his final move set, his final stage. You can blow him out of it, and you'll fight him in the same stage that you were the whole rest of the boss fight. I think that's an interesting design because it gives players who are stuck on this boss a cool, interesting dynamic where it's like, okay, I don't have to sit here for 10 hours struggling with this boss, reworking my character, and just putting different aspects, like respecking my whole character. I don't have to do that. Not everyone's got, 7-10 hours a day to just go and be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit down and fight this guy. So it's like if you're one of those people that is struggling with this boss, or you're just sick and tired of it, maybe he's got what you feel is like a BS move. You go, you pop that item, and you'll have a little window to just beat on him, and then he goes back to how he was fighting you for, like, what, the first phase, second phase, however that was, before he jumped into this weird little realm. I think that's a really interesting part. I don't know if I explained that the best, but I hope I did. I didn't want to include, like, any footage in this one either, because this game is genuinely a masterpiece. I think that I didn't want to go and upload something as well and then end up throwing, like, something that was in the plot in there. I didn't want to be that guy. I think that this game has potential to be, like, Game of the Year. I think it was interesting. I think it was good. There was a lot of controversy on, was this game a Souls-like game? Was this game more of like a hack and slasher, kind of like God of War? Here's my input on that. I've played a decent amount of the Souls games. I've played Bloodborne. I've played Elden Ring. I've beat through Dark Souls 3. I've played through a few other games. I played Lies of P. I think that might be the extent of them. But I think that this leans more towards a Souls game. I do like... Here's what I kind of classify as a Souls game. Okay, there's difficult bosses. Check. You have these little fire pits, these little sites of grace. You have little just places where you can rest. You can upgrade your flasks. You can go and change different areas of your set. You can do different things on that area. So there was that. Check. I also think that they have the unforgiving type of checkpoints where it's like, okay, from point A is maybe a 5 to 10 minute journey to point B. So it's like, if I die and I didn't reach that checkpoint, it's like, damn, I have to go back 5 to 10 minutes. And you're running your way through there. And there's many times where you'll die and you'll be like, son of a bitch, I have to go back 5-10 minutes to get to this next checkpoint. And That's in many ways where I would put it, as more of a Souls game. I do see the aspect where it's more of a hack and slash as well. I don't want to say that's a completely outlandish idea, because a lot of the fighting is kind of reminiscent to God of War. There's different aspects and different like upgrades that you can go. And I played on controller. You press both thumbsticks and you can go and turn into like this big statue that smashes his head on the ground. You can go and do different powers you get. There's also one thing that felt a lot like God of War was you'd go and you'd find a chest and you'd open it up like how Kratos would. Just throw the chest open. I think that was kind of cool. I would say this is more of a Souls game, so if you're not privy to Souls games, don't jump into it. It's not super forgiving, but it is one of those games where it is very, very, very rewarding. I think that if you're looking for a game that's very interesting with lore, if you're looking for a game that just grabs you, it's something that sucks you into it, because it's nothing like I've seen before. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm looking very forward to any of the Black Myth games that are coming out, whether it's, DLCs for Black Myth Wukong or just a whole new IP for Black Myth. I think that would be interesting, and I'm super, super excited to see where they take this. But thank you guys for watching. If you're, ever interested in checking me out on other areas, I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/superbeamstream. I'll put a link in the bio. I also have a Discord, so if you're into, just meeting new people and just talking with people, I stream daily as well. So I have a bunch of nice friends in there, a bunch of nice people, so you're always welcome in there, man. We're always just trying to build a nice community, and thank you guys so much for watching, though. I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, good rest of the night, wherever you're at, and bye-bye!